In the heart of Harare, a young barber named Tafadzwa struggled to make ends meet. Despite his best efforts, his newly opened barbershop failed to attract customers. He had invested his entire savings into the venture, and nothing seemed to be going as planned. One day, as Tafadzwa sat in his empty barbershop, his wealthy friend Namo walked in. "Tafadzwa, my man, how are you?" Namo greeted him cheerfully. "If it wasn't for this useless barbershop that's not making money, I would be fine," Tafadzwa replied sadly. Namo's expression turned thoughtful. "I heard about an old Malawian man who helps people with their businesses. I think you should visit him." Tafadzwa raised an eyebrow. "What kind of help does he offer? Is it genuine?" "I don't want to get involved with charms or anything like that. I'd rather you hired me at one of your companies or lent me some money." Namo chuckled. "Why should I hire you or lend you money when I can help you become as rich as I am?" "So, this old man is the one who helped you get rich?" Tafadzwa asked, surprised. "I thought you were a hard-working businessman, but you're nothing but a ritualist." Namo stood up, his face red with anger, and glared at Tafadzwa. "A ritualist is someone with blood on their hands, someone who sacrifices their loved ones," he spat. "I didn't do any of that. That stupid mentality is the reason you're poor. You have nothing to lose, anyway." With that, Namo stormed out, leaving Tafadzwa consumed by his thoughts. As night fell, Tafadzwa lay in bed, Namo's words echoing in his mind, "That stupid mentality is the reason you're poor." The phrase haunted him, slowly seeping into his thoughts until he started to believe it. In his culture, it was common to suspect that a rich person's success came from dark sources, a ritualist's charm, or a magical snake that dispensed wealth. Tafadzwa thought, Namo is right, I'm too caught up in traditional thinking. Some people seek help from prophets, what's the difference if I consult a traditional healer? It's just a matter of preference. And I have nothing to lose. Driven by desperation and a hunger for success, Tafadzwa decided to seek out the old man who lived on the outskirts of the city. He arrived at the old man's hut, his heart racing with anticipation. The old man greeted him with a knowing smile, his eyes glinting with a hint of mischief. "Welcome, young one," the old man said, his voice dripping with an otherworldly tone. "I sense you're seeking more than just a trim for your hair." Tafadzwa swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I want to be successful," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I want my barber shop to thrive." The old man nodded, his eyes gleaming with interest. "I can help you," he said, "but it won't come cheap." Tafadzwa hesitated, unsure of what to expect. But his desire for success overrode his doubts. "I'll do whatever it takes," he said, his voice firm. The old man cackled, the sound sending shivers down Tafadzwa's spine. "Very well," he said. "But remember, you asked for this." And with that, the old man began to chant, his voice weaving a spell that seemed to wrap around Tafadzwa like a shroud. The old man's chanting stopped, and he looked at Tafadzwa with an intense gaze. "To ensure your success, I require a small offering," he said, his voice low and mysterious. Tafadzwa felt a shiver run down his spine. "What kind of offering?" he asked hesitantly. The old man smiled, revealing crooked teeth. "A snippet of hair from every customer who sits in your chair," he replied, his eyes glinting with an otherworldly light. Tafadzwa's eyes widened in horror. "But that's impossible," he protested. The old man's smile grew wider. "Impossible is just a word, young one," he said. "You want success, you must pay the price. And if you fail to deliver..." He paused, letting the silence hang in the air like a threat. "You will lose everything," he finished, his voice dripping with malice. Tafadzwa felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead. He knew he had to make a choice, his conscience or his success. Tafadzwa hesitated, his mind racing with the implications. But the promise of success and wealth proved too enticing to resist. "I agree," he said finally, his voice firm. The old man cackled, clearly pleased with himself. "Excellent choice, young one," he said. "Remember, a snippet of hair from every customer. Failure to comply will result in consequences." Tafadzwa nodded, feeling a sense of trepidation. He left the old man's hut, his mind reeling with the weight of his decision. As he returned to his barber shop, Tafadzwa couldn't shake off the feeling that he had just made a deal with a dark force. But he pushed aside his doubts, focusing instead on the promise of success that lay ahead. And so, Tafadzwa began to collect snippets of hair from his customers, secretly sending them to the old man as agreed. His barbershop flourished, attracting more and more customers with each passing day that he had to hire some boys to work for him. As Tafadzwa's success grew, he found himself increasingly consumed by the world of riches and luxury. He spent his days surrounded by opulent furnishings, expensive cars, and high-end fashion. His barbershop became a hub for the city's elite, and he reveled in the admiration and envy of those around him. Tafadzwa's newfound wealth and status went to his head, and he began to see himself as superior to others. He became prideful and arrogant, looking down on those who were less fortunate. He forgot the struggles he had faced and the sacrifices he had made to get to where he was. One day, as he was driving through the city in his sleek, black sports car, he saw a homeless man begging on the street corner. Tafadzwa scoffed, rolling up his window in disgust. "That could have been me," he thought, "but I'm better than that now." Little did Tafadzwa know, his pride and arrogance would soon be his downfall. The old man's demands were about to take a dark and sinister turn, and Tafadzwa would be forced to confront the true cost of his success. Stay tuned for part 2.